All right.
Hey.
We'll go ahead and get started with questions, assuming anyone has a question for you. Safik, go ahead.
Fitzy, this week is going to be one of the best NFL quarterback matchups in the league, and I'm not talking about Lamar and Patrick Mahomes. How are you ready for what are your thoughts on Gardner Minshew, and what are your thoughts on going up on prime time against him?
I haven't seen him play a ton, but the few times I have, I like watching him. I enjoy his playing style. Looks like he's out there, having fun, and it's not easy to play quarterback in this league. It's not easy to play as a young quarterback, and he's already had a lot of success. He's had a great start to the season. So, he's a guy. I don't think I've played against him, so I'm excited to watch him play and see how he does.
Joe?
Fitzy, I don't know if you saw the game last night. Probably not, especially with the short week. But Drew Brees' arm was trending on Twitter. Supposedly, he can't throw the ball beyond 10 yards. I guess I'm wondering, what have you heard about arm and how important it is and how strong your arm is? I mean, certainly your arm looked strong enough in last week's game.
Oh, thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I think some of that stuff's a little overrated. I didn't see a lot of the game last night, but the system that they're in is so much about rhythm and getting it out and getting it to their guys in space. So I think a lot of times too much can be made about that. There aren't a whole lot of times, unless it's a Aaron Rodgers Hail Mary, that you're seeing a ball go over 60 yards in a game. So, for me, and I think for all quarterbacks as you get older, just knowing, what you're good at and what you're not, and sticking to that stuff. And, I think a lot of that stuff gets overrated, especially as guys get older.
Omar?
Fitz, I want to ask you about the identity of this offense. I know you guys are still trying to figure it out, but nobody knows Chan Gailey's offense more than you, even coaches that have worked with him. You've been a starter. This is going on your 6th year. What is it supposed to look like?
I think it's supposed to be an offense that changes every week, but an offense that tailors to our strengths. So, for example, when I was in New York with Chan, you could look at the stats of the tight ends and how many catches they had, but I don't think any of them had 100 yards even in a season. So, we've got different skill sets and different guys here that we want to try to get involved, whether it's, the big guys on the outside, whether it's our quick guys on the inside. Isaiah Ford had a great game last week. Continuing to get the running backs more involved. I just think as we're going here, he's going to continue to figure out what's going to make us a good offense, a dynamic offense, and we'll keep feeding those parts. So I think part of the charm in his offense is how multiple it is, and the ability for it to look different from week to week.
Adam?
Yeah, I've got a 2-part Minshew question, actually. Part one is you and he kind of had similar starts. Late round draft pick, kind of had to overcome incumbents to get to your spot. What advice would you give to him starting out in his career to have the kind of longevity you did? And part two of the question is, why are beards better than mustaches?
I think part of it, in our careers, they're different in the sense that I played early, but didn't have a whole lot of success and bounced around a bunch. And, he certainly had a lot more success early on than I did. So he seems to have some things already figured out, but just the continued hard work and continued passion for the game. Those are two things that, if you have a little bit of success, you just can't lose sight of. And then the mustache versus the beard. I mean, I think the beard is a cooler look. And I think guys that grow mustaches a lot of times have patchy sides for their beards. So they just stick with the mustache. But my wife appreciates the mustache trimmed up a little bit more. But she does hate the beard too. So I guess that's a lose-lose for me.
Travis.
That's hilarious, Fitz. I have a question for you that I'm sure is something you've seen on film, but I read some stats earlier in my research on this game, and Jacksonville sends an extra rusher at the 7th lowest rate in the NFL, and they have 2 linebackers in Schobert and Jack who have played a combined 270 snaps and only 13 combined pass rush snaps between the two. So my question is, what's the difference between playing a team that dials up pressure relentlessly versus a team that plays more coverage-based?
Well, for me as a quarterback, you look at some of that stuff and you look at tendencies, but if they do blitz, then we need to have an answer for it. So, I can't sit here and rely on those things. We've got to have answers for everything. But part of it is when you go into a game, are these guys generating pressures and hurries, and how do they do it? Do they rush forward? Do they bring exotics? And there are a lot of different ways to do it. With so little film, we can look at years past and things that have happened, but you kind of have to be ready for everything. So we just continue to look at matchups. We continue to look at what they want to do with those guys, just like us trying to put our guys in good positions to make plays. But definitely, it's going to be a matchup game like it always is. And we'll try to, as best we can, get our guys on the guys that we want to get them on and try to create those good matchups.
Jonathan.
Is there any overreaction you think to the week 2 performance? I mean, if you guys, don't stall out at the one, or Kyle Van Noy gets a pick 6 if he doesn't drop that, a couple plays here and there, you guys maybe win that game. Is there some overreaction to everything? Do you guys think you guys are close, to getting a win here?
I think that's when you lose in the NFL. I think every week is overreaction. It goes the other way too. I mean, you win a couple games and all of a sudden everything's fixed, and that's not always the case either. So I think a lot of it, we've got such a young team, and Jacksonville does too, but it's just about staying level-headed. It's about putting the week before behind you and focusing on, what's at hand. And I think we've done a nice job of that. I was proud of the way that we came out, after a really disappointing game in New England, and, showed some better focus, resiliency, whatever it was in the second game. And we'll just continue to try to build on that. But short weeks are tough for everybody, physically especially, but the mental aspect too. So we'll get into that. And we've got only a few days to get into our preparation. So hopefully that'll help in terms of the focus this week.
Omar.
Did I hear you correctly? And you say, or maybe it was a Zoom interpretation, did you say your wife hates the beard?
You'd have to ask her. You catch her on the streets. She's running the streets all the time. So if you ever see her out there, you can ask her.
So what has she said to you though?
It just depends on what mood she's in,
That's a non-committal answer. Does your wife like it, or does she not like it?
No, she doesn't. She hates when it's long like this. She hates when it's long because for some reason she thinks I'm handsome, but when it's long, I'm not handsome.
Gotcha. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem.
Adam, any more beard questions?
I just first of all, we can all agree that you're handsome, so don't worry about that. But
thanks, Adam. I appreciate that. Right back at you.
Thank you. The question I have is this: when you're quarterback in a team and the defense is giving up some yards and giving up some points, do you press a little bit? You know that, hey, maybe the margin of error is a lot smaller for us on the offensive side, and if so, how do you not overreact?
No, we definitely not. I think, I had to put so much focus and energy into each individual play. And, for us, there's so much that we're just missing on, or there's some mistakes that I'm making that it's just going to make us that much better on offense. So there's a million things that we're focused on trying to get better and fix right now as an offense. And I know the defense is doing that as well. So it's just, for me, our goal is to go out and score on every drive. And if we don't do that, we got to figure out why we're not doing that and try to correct it. So there's just too much that I have to focus on where, you don't even really think about some of that stuff. Once you get into the second half of a game, and then the score definitely becomes much more of an issue, whether you're winning or losing and how you're playing. But as the game goes on, especially early, you play it and you try to execute the best you can.
I think that's all the questions and facial hair conversations today. Thanks. That's appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, Jesse, good to see you. What have you learned over the years about the most important things when you have that Sunday to Thursday turnaround?
Just recovery, how quick you can get out of one week and into the next with, dropping what you're doing, with watching film of the other game, and then just moving right into the next one. So just having, a short memory loss there and moving in.
Travis?
Hey, Jesse, wanted to ask you guys about going up against defensive end Josh Allen. You saw him a couple of times, I think, in the preseason, his first year in. Just want to see what you get from him on tape.
Yeah, he's a good player. He's quick, good lateral movement. It'll be a good matchup for us with him and how fast he is. But they have a good line anyways. So it's like every week we prepare the same way. Our one goal: get a win, protect Fitz, and get the run game going.
Omar?
Jesse, obviously you guys are still developing chemistry on the offensive line. What do you hope or envision that the offensive line's identity will be? What do you think should be the calling card for this unit?
Yeah, I think the identity of us, we want to be respected. We want to be feared when we go into a game. We want to be able to do our job and do it well. And moving forward, I think, we're starting to build that chemistry. We're starting to gel well nicely together. And it's just, every week, and just keep putting it on tape and keep doing what we've been doing.
Barry?
Hi, Jesse. What to you has changed with Myles Gaskin, a guy who was on the bubble 2 months ago, and now he's the running back getting the most carries on your team and being very productive?
Yeah, I think, watching Gaskin run, he's running hard. He's playing well. I think, as a player, I think he's just carrying a different kind of confidence with himself and his ability to, lead us with the run game. It's been fun to watch.
Joe?
Jess, obviously every game is important because it's the next one on the schedule. But what's the sense of urgency in the building right now?
I think it's just, how can we get better? What's the next, phase? How can we eliminate the mental errors? How can we, move the ball better and just play complementary football across the board? And I think, we're on the right path. It's encouraging to see us out here competing instead of, from last year. I think it's night and day difference. But with that said, we gotta get a win, and we got to put up a bunch of wins here.
Al?
Hi, Jesse. A second ago, you mentioned how you want to be respected and even feared, which is a great goal, obviously. When you think of lines that are respected and feared, what comes to mind? Which lines would you like to be on parallel with out of the recent NFL season? What comes to mind?
I think Dallas Cowboys line. I think they've been together a long time. I think the Philadelphia Eagles. When you talk about line and how everybody else talks about them, and just how they can do a job consistently on a daily basis, and they've proven it for a long time. And I think that's the kind of goal we've been trying to strive for here.
Hi, Matt. You're obviously still getting work and being productive, but your per carries per game, number of carries per game is down from what you've been accustomed to, obviously, with the 49ers. Does that faze you at all? Does it make any difference to you?
No, it don't make any difference to me. Like I've been saying before, we got a plan every week. I trust in the plan. I trust in the coaches. All of us have a role to play on the team, and whatever our role is, we're going to play it to the best of our ability.
Stefan?
Matt, it felt like when you got stopped at the one, you guys weren't able to really get the ball in on that specific possession. Um, w- was there any sense in your mind on that play that if I don't get in the end zone, it may not be beneficial for us, that I need to get in the end zone on this play?
I mean, you want to score every play you can. Don't get me wrong, but that never went through my mind. We got a bunch of great players on our team who can get in the end zone, and we draw plays every week for the red zone for different guys getting the end zone. So it never came across my mind that we weren't going to score. So no, I wasn't worried about it.
Joe?
Matt, your yards per carry is good. You almost scored a touchdown. You had a key first down on a pitch out to the left. You are playing well. What have Coach Brian Flores or Shane Daly said to you, to, if anything, to sort of ease any concerns you might have about not having more carries?
They haven't said much. I mean, it's understood since day one that, whatever they asked me to do, I told them since day one I'm going to do. I'm not the type of guy that's going to complain about how many carries I get, how many yards I get, if I make it to the Pro Bowl. Like, at the end of the day, we want to win. We want to win championships. That's what we're paid to do. If I was paid to, worry about how many number of yards I would get, then that'd be a different story. But I'm paid to, win championships, and that's our end goal. So, we just want to win.
Adam?
That being said, and obviously that's a great have from a key perspective, but when the club's losing and you still aren't involved as much as some might thought you would have been, how hard is that?
Anytime you lose, it's tough. You're a competitor. You don't want to lose. But I've been through this process before, and we have a great team. So like I tell everyone, just keep being patient, and we're going to get things turned around. We're going to get it together. So everything's a process. You can't expect things to just turn around overnight. And we're in the right direction. We barely lost this last game, and that was a couple of plays on every phase that we could have played better. We could end up with a win. So we just got to keep working on the little details, and things start coming together.
Dolphin?
Yeah, you mentioned those couple plays, and is that the kind of mindset that's kind of going through the building right now? I mean, you guys score on those, at the 1 yard line, or you guys get a pick six from Van Noy there, or an interception late from X. Is it really a play here or there that you guys could have won this game and you have a different outlook in going into this week?
Yeah, like I said, it's everyone on the team. Players, even the coaches. Everyone feels like we could have done a better job during the game, and we're all going to keep working to make sure that we can finish the games because we're right there. And like I said, we have a great team, so I'm very confident that we're going to do big things.
Omar?
Matt, you've been part of one of the big turnarounds in the NFL, being on the 49ers last year. When did you see the tide turning with the 49ers, and what were the signs?
Goes all the way down to my rookie year. When we were, I think, 0-9 at one point, and no one believed in us. And then we started winning. I think we won like the last 5 out of our 6 games of the season. And I knew we had it in us. I think that year we lost like 6 games by like 3 points or less or something crazy like that. And that in the NFL, that's what it comes down to is those 3 points. And like I was saying, the little small plays that no one really pays attention to, but that make a big difference in the game. And it's the same thing here. We just got to finish, and we got a bunch of great guys, great coaches, great management that got us in the right direction. So we just got to finish now and put it together.
Matt, you talked about the importance of team success. What do you think is the difference between 1-2 and 0-3? Looking at the importance of Thursday's game.
Like I was saying, we just have to finish. It goes all the way down to the little small details, just like this last game, like you guys were saying, a couple of plays here and there that we all could have made a big difference in the game. So I think, once we get those corrected and, we learn how to finish, we'll be a great team.
Al?
So, Matt, specifically about the running game, how far away is it from where you think it ought to be, and what are the missing elements?
I think we're in a great position with the running game. I think all of us been running the ball well. Me, Miles, Jordan, Patrick, whoever we put in the game, we're going to run the ball well. And I think we're right there. Like I said, I think we just got to finish as a team. I think in all the phases, we all can do a lot better, and we're going to.
I will take one more, Omar.
Matt, in terms of the quick turnaround from Sunday to Thursday, as a player who plays one of the more physical positions, what do you have to do to get your body ready for that?
just rest, get as much sleep as possible, get as much treatment and recovery as possible. And like you were saying, it's one of those things where it's mental, both teams are going to be tired. We just played a game, I think 2-3 days out. So it's just all mental. And, whoever's prepared more mentally, I believe is going to win the game.
Hey, Isaiah, how you doing, man? Wanted to ask you about your first time back in your hometown of Jacksonville on Thursday night for a primetime game.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Anytime you get to play in your hometown or in front of your family and friends, it'll be really exciting time. But this will be my first time actually getting to play inside the stadium, so really looking forward to that.
Joe?
Isaiah, some of us are going to make the drive up to the Jacksonville beach area tomorrow morning in advance of the game. Do you have any tips at all? Anything we want to check out in the Jacksonville area?
There's my favorite restaurant. It's this hibachi place called Okinawa. It shouldn't be too far from Jacksonville Beach, maybe 15 minutes. You can check that out, or you can go to Potter House Soul Food Bistro. A lot of really good choices there too.
Josh?
Hey, Isaiah, two-part question. What do I got to order tomorrow at Okinawa? And could you speak on just the comfort level that you felt on this past Sunday and just what those reps mean moving forward that, you showed what you're capable of building off last year?
Right. So my go-to is the teriyaki chicken and scallops. And I get the fried rice. I get double fried rice instead of vegetables. I'm not a big vegetable guy. So you can't go wrong with that. And then as much of the yum sauce as you can handle. But no, just in a game, just me and being comfortable with Fitz, me and him being on the same page with what we're seeing on the field, what coverages, where he's expecting me to be, and where I'm expecting him to throw the ball and things like that. So just kind of just trying to build on that and hopefully get a win.
Omar?
Isaiah, so many people, including Chan and Fitz, have talked about the freedom that wide receivers have to alter their routes. Is that something that's just based on what the defense is showing or what they're doing pre-snap, or is it just based on feel and chemistry in terms of what you and Fitz might like?
So I think it's a little bit of both. There's certain concepts that we have where if it's defense is playing zone, then it's more about being in the right spots. Running the route. Sometimes you may have to open it up for another receiver. And then when it's man coverage, that's when he really allows us to have that freedom and being at the spot that he's expecting us to be at. But how we get to that destination is really on us, being creative and getting to that spot.
Adam?
Two-part question. Your parents or your family, are they still in Jacksonville?
Yes.
Part two then, what do they think of Minshew mania?
My mom grew up a Cowboys fan and my dad grew up a Buccaneers fan. So I don't think they really watched too much of the Jags game, to be honest with you.
Al?
Isaiah, a couple of days ago, I read a really interesting piece that involved players who played with Fitz, and they talked about what it meant to have him as a teammate. And they shared a lot of stories that are Fitz and only Fitz kind of stories. When you hear that, what comes to mind? Do you have any only Fitz kind of stories that involved you and him, advice he gave you, or something funny he might have done?
I can't recall one specific time, but I just think his leadership and his command in the huddle kind of gives everyone a sense of peace, especially us having a lot of younger guys. He's always calm, comforting, and even if he makes a joke or something, whatever the case may be. But he does a really good job at getting everyone comfortable and ready to go out and execute.
Barry?
Hi, Isaiah. A couple things. Has there been a single person inside the Dolphins who has said something along the lines of, we're you for how far you've come, a guy who's bouncing back and forth from the practice squad to now being a reliable slot receiver. So that's one thing. And also, have you heard from Steve Smith at all in the last couple of years?
I didn't hear the entire first question. You kind of went out a little bit.
Isaiah, have you heard, has anyone inside the Dolphins said they're proud of you for what you have become, a guy who was going back and forth, P squad to 53, now you're a reliable slot guy?
I think a lot of the guys, that have kind of seen me mature throughout this entire process since I've been a Dolphin, they've kind of and gave me encouragement and things like that. But really, when you're dialed into the grand scheme of things, you're not really focused on how far you've come. You're still thinking of you got a ways to go, but I haven't heard from Steve Smith. I have not.
Thanks.
Joe?
Isaiah, in the last game, you had several clutch receptions to create first downs. One thing I noticed was after one of the catches, you did this sort of shimmy thing. Where did that come from? Or what prompted that? Do you have a name for it?
Nah, that's something that I've kind of joked around with the guys in the receiver room with is me adding that weight this offseason and putting on some of that muscle. So being able to kind of take some of those hits and kind of bounce back up a little bit. So it's just something fun that I've been messing with the guys about.
Dolphin?
Hey, Isaiah. Fitz last week said that he wanted to get, Gesicki a little bit more involved, but also you were a little bit more involved in the last game too. When you guys are, being found in the passing game, whether it's you, Mike, Devontae or Preston, what could this passing game be if it's really clicking on all cylinders?
Right. It's infectious, and I think that we kind of saw a glimpse of that this past week, that we kind of feed off each other making plays, and I think the entire team kind of feels that energy, and we start to play complementary football, which is really what it's all about. The offense making plays and then the defense making plays on their end to get us back the ball and so on and so forth. So I think it's just a little glimpse of how good we can be as a football team, but we have to kind of string more of that together so we can start winning some games.